Good evening to all of you. And at the outset, I would just like to know how many of you are practicing pediatric ophthalmology and concerned with low vision in children. That's good. So I will be mostly focusing my talk on pediatric low vision care, as Dr. Ilango sir has already told you in depth about low vision care in adults. The principles in children are almost the same, except about the rehab part, and the training starts really early. So as you would have realized now, there is all are not totally blind, and between total blindness and low vision is this normal vision, that is this large grey area of low vision, and you would be knowing the definition very well. That is the best corrected vision of 618 to light perception and visual field of 10 degrees from the point of fixation. But more than the definition of low vision per se, we would like to really concentrate on what exactly is functional vision, which is very important from a patient who is suffering from low vision. So what do you mean by functional vision? That is the way the person actually uses his vision to perform a simple task. So the vision as such may be very poor, but the child's or adult's function may be good. So that is what we are trying to improve by prescribing the low vision aids and the other non-optical aids. That is to improve the functional vision of the patient. So we never underestimate, even a patient with 160 vision or a half 60 vision would be able to move about in the house, or would be able to move about in familiar areas, would be able to recognize light from dark. Even that is actually quite important from that point of view. So functional vision may be improved with the low vision aids and by specific instructions as to how to use the remaining vision. So what are the visual skills which are used for the functional vision? So this is where the rehab person comes into play, and this is what you would be teaching the child or the adult to do. That is awareness and attention to the objects. So to use the remaining vision, she tells them how to scan the objects, how to track the objects, how to discriminate, and how to discriminate the details and identification of perception of patterns, numbers and words. So these are very easy in fully sighted individuals, but you may have to think in terms of a person who is having very low vision, may not be seeing the object as a whole and may not be able to discern various aspects of whatever they are seeing. So they have to view the word manually, they have to bring the object into the area of best vision and have to scan it gradually, and these techniques, if taught from a very early age, is really very helpful. So coming to the global estimate of low vision care, this is according to the 2002 statistics. There are about 131 million visually impaired children, people, out of which only 37 are totally blind, and the majority of this is having low vision, and most of them are in the developing world. And it's a challenge for anybody. When it comes to children, it's even more challenging, both for the child and the parents and also the ophthalmologist who is examining the child, because measuring the visual function itself can be quite challenging. As pediatric ophthalmologists, you would be knowing that even a normal child, to say that the child is having normal vision, it requires a lot of coaxing, and the way you test, spend a lot of time, and but to estimate the visual function of a child with low vision itself is a challenge. And if the low vision child is having some other disability, or if he is suffering from cerebral palsy or some other impairment, then it becomes even more difficult. And how are you going to break this to the parents, to say that the child is having a low vision, and whether it is a progressive disease like retinitis pigmentosa or Stargardt's disease, and then the child is going to deteriorate further. It's actually quite difficult to convey this to any parent, and there is a lot of huge psychological impact which is there. And also the visual needs of the child keep changing. The visual needs of a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, it keeps changing at each phase. So these are the challenges peculiar to children. And coming to the causes of low vision, the most common would be amblyopia, lazy eye, inherited retinal dystrophies, pediatric cataract, which is delayed surgery, or any other issues to do with the cornea, and congenital optic nerve pathologies and others. So this is a child who came to us with, you can see that the child is having a pediatric cataract actually, and it's a delayed presentation. So we would not like to wait till the stage where we would like to do a surgery, because already the child has developed a nystagmus. So even if you are going to give the best possible treatment, the visual outcome is going to be poor. So that is the importance of early treatment. And this child is having a microphthalmos, and here there is almost an ophthalmos, and this is a cloudy cornea. So all these are causes for low vision in childhood. It could be a coloboma, a stage 5 retinopathy of prematurity. So the delayed visual maturation, poor vision in infancy has been divided by Felder et al. Into 3 categories. So category 1 is the delayed visual maturation as an isolated anomaly. That into again 1A and 1B, where 1A is there is a truly isolated problem, and 1B is there is some perinatal medical complaints. While category 2 is there is neurodevelopmental abnormalities like cortical visual impairment or some developmental anomalies, and category 3 is the low vision that is associated with ocular anomalies. So once you classify, this is important for the prognostic point of view. Those who are having only delayed visual maturation without any other anomalies, the prognosis is very good. So you just give them visual stimulation exercises, and with time actually the visual acuity improves. On the other hand, if they are having some other ocular or systemic causes, then the prognosis is not so good. So this is very important to explain to the parents. So this child is having albinism and came to us with nystagmus. So its systemic component is not very severe, but he did have an impaired vision. And this child had Leber's congenital amaurosis, and there was only like a light perception. You can see that the child is not able to see anything except a flashlight. So actually the child is only interested in catching the light. So this is a child with congenital esotropia with nystagmus and poor vision. So there are various causes of low vision in children. And so why is vision really important? Because it is the integrating and the organizing sense. It's the most dominant sense. Children who are having poor vision, all their developmental milestones are delayed. It is a motivator for reaching, movement, and many other social skills also. So whenever a child is having poor vision, there is passivity and learned helplessness. They become more interested, they develop certain kind of mannerisms because they are not able to see. There is hand flapping, shaking their heads, eye poking, and they don't like to, their movement is, their motor milestones are delayed because they don't see, so they are not able to move that well. And there are movement limitations. They don't develop any concepts about objects or space. So all these are affected in a child with low vision, and hence they show delay across all areas of development like emotion, communication, cognitive, social, independence, etc. And the implications vary according to the degree and the type of impairment, the age at which this has occurred, other developmental or learning disabilities, child's personality, family environment, support, and the presence of early diagnosis, intervention, and engagement. So there are some critical aspects to consider when working with the young people with low vision. That is, you have to encourage socialization, encourage compensatory skills, provide realistic feedback, avoid unwarranted praise, don't convey high expectations, don't overprotect, and provide some opportunities to work. So the human resources would be ophthalmologist with orientation towards pediatric eye care services, trained orthoptist, and a counselor and a rehab person. So all these are needed for a well-functioning low vision clinic. So we concentrate on the history and external eye examination, and then the fundus evaluation. Then we can do the electroretinography in case where it is indicated for proper diagnosis of the condition. And so coming to the history in a child, you have to take a very detailed history regarding the pregnancy, infections, use of drugs, perinatal or neonatal complications, developmental milestones, family history of similar problems, whether there is any consanguinity in the family, history of photophobia or jerky eye movements, any history of eye poking. And when you examine the child, you see the visual behavior of the child, whether the child is looking at you, whether a small child, even a 3 or 4 month old child is able to look at the mother's face and social smile, whether it's developed or not, pupils, nystagmus, anterior segment and fundus. And measurement techniques depend upon again the age of the child. So examination in low vision clinic, as sir has already said these points, so I wouldn't be concentrating much on this. So again, coming to the barriers for a child with low vision, as I already said, they face barriers in communication, language, fine and gross motor skills, social skills, emotional development, Hence, there is a very important need for early intervention and vision rehabilitation, because nearly 85% of a child's early learning occurs through vision. So, to prevent this, we, as sir already said, when a child is not having any perception of light, we usually start with vision stimulation kind of exercises with the basic running light with the primary colors. And when the child is able to see some objects, then we use sharp contrast, toys with both touch and feel and sounds and attractive colors, and we ask the mother to wear bright clothing and decorate the room accordingly, and certain things can help the child. So this is the running light which sir showed you. So these are the primary colors with child with no perception of light is made to see every day for 15 or 20 minutes. And if you don't have access to that, this is again a child with Leber's amaurosis. Child is not following any objects at all. But when you see the child, when we show a light, the child will be seeing the light. So then the child becomes interested. There's no all the other milestones are normal. So then we can ourselves devise vision stimulation kind of thing in the clinic. So these are the patterns that you are supposed to show a child with very poor vision. You can even stick the black electric tape with black and white patterns. This forms a very high contrast, which the size may vary depending upon the vision of the child. There are tables available as to what the size of the tape should be. So this kind of patterns and also in school, see, this is a regular medium ink pen, and this is a medium felt tip pen, and this is a heavy tip marker. So the child may not be able to see the pencil point on the notebook, but once you use a heavy or a medium felt tip pen, the child will be able to see. So that the parents and teachers have to be made to understand. So these are various ways of vision stimulation. In very poor children with very poor sight, you can have a light board and you can place such objects on top of the light board in a very dark environment, and it forms a very good, the child will be interested to see it. And mats with contrasting patterns, mobiles which sound and light, and such shapes with high contrast, all these form a part of the vision stimulation and rehabilitation clinic in children. And there are toys available specifically for children with impaired vision, which improve the combination of touch and feel and sound, so that other senses are also integrated into this, and the child will be able to use the vision better. So this is a light box which you can, this is a Be Active box it is called, in which can be made in the clinic and in the home. You can suspend various objects inside the box, and the child will be exposed to stimulating environment for some part of the day. So this sir has already said is how to enhance regular residual vision, and the principle of low vision aids has already been covered. So these are the various magnifiers and the non-optical aids, and the illumination part is extremely important. So using the proper aids with the proper place for keeping the books with the proper illumination again is extremely important. And also contrast enhancement and glare control. So unless there is this aspects is treated, the patients will not be able to see well. And this is the electronic mouse magnifier. This mouse can be connected to any monitor or a computer or a television, and just move the mouse on top of the book, and the patient will be able to see the magnified image. And this is the portable video magnifier which sir was talking about. So they have various kinds of applications, like you can change the background, can be dark or white or whichever the patient is comfortable in, and there are ways to increase the magnification, and you can even take a photograph of that and store it for viewing it later, and you can use it along with your what do you call it, your flash disk, and you can take the information elsewhere. And there are various softwares for low vision available, which sir has already talked about, like JAWS. And so recognizing a child with low vision, in case you want to in a teacher training program or something, so you would ask the teachers and parents to look out for these kind of mannerisms. That is whether the child rubs his eyes frequently, whether they keep the book too close while reading, difficulty reading from a blackboard even if they are sitting in the first row. Child is not able to identify match colors, abnormal structure of the eyes, watering, and problem in following moving objects. Because there are two pathways involved. They say there is a what pathway and there is a where pathway in a child which can be affected. So the children with a problem the parents usually say that even if the vision is very poor, they say that they can follow some insects on the floor, they are able to pick up such things, and that is because the child may not be able to see a stationary object, but they may be able to see once the object is moving. So you need to make sure what is the vision in the stationary situation, and once the thing is moving again the child will be able to see well. So it may be, that is why the visual stimulation and all is very important. So teach the child to identify colors, use black felt tip pens, zero glare, make the lines darker, let the child work in the required lighting, always use good contrast. Whenever we see a child with low vision, we give this feedback to the school teachers. We give in a written format as to how, because the teacher may not be aware of these aspects. So we tell the child that should be sitting as close to the blackboard as possible with the area with good lighting and zero glare, and they may be requiring these devices. So please encourage them to use it in school and such things. So communication to teachers is extremely important, and also they have to be compassionate to the low vision children. So in our rehab clinic we have this board in which the child may be trained to use the distance low vision devices, and we need to give them training to use the near and distance devices, mobility training, computer training, all these are very important. So actually in our state of Tamil Nadu, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is integrated education policy is all over India and quite active in Tamil Nadu also. So they say that child with low vision should be integrated into normal schools as far as possible, because keeping them separately in a special education is not actually good for the child, because they are not going to be like that. Once they come out of school, they have to interact with people of different categories. So once from the school on, they are exposed to sighted peers, and so that will be good for their development. So it is a part of the national policy on education. An early intervention will improve the ability to integrate with the mainstream schools, and also the children will become confident with the use of low vision aids. So inclusive education has always been their policy, and the other normal children also learn how to help. You know, it's good from both point of view. Even for a normal child, they will be getting the helping tendency and other things from a young age onwards. So the goals are to increase the functionality, make most of the remaining vision, provide link to community services and support services, and education. So when 60 to 80% of visual impaired children may have other coexisting chronic illness, they include the torch infections and brain damage, perinatal asphyxia and other syndromes. So good knowledge of the child's case history, diagnosis and prognosis of his or her eye disease, detailed information on the child's refractive error, visual abilities like visual acuity, field, amplitude of accommodation, contrast, all these are important. Good understanding and functions and features of various low vision devices, training in the use of these devices, and also regular follow-up. So joint integrated and multidisciplinary kind of partnership is very important, because it's not practical for any single professional group or agency to provide all the elements which are required to provide a comprehensive low vision service. So that is the end of my talk, and if you have any doubts.
Head-on magnifiers or stand magnifier selection of that depends on the refractive error of the particular patient.
It depends on how good their near visual acuity is, and then you try all different types of magnifiers, and also show them the electronic magnifiers, and whichever the patient is comfortable with. You ask the children to bring their school books, the print that they normally use, and if they are able to read it with this, then you can prescribe.